So welcome back, and tonight we're gonna make working man meal on a budget here. So this here is some elk meat that was given to me by a friend, and they used a blend of elk with beef fat so that it cooks well, but it's just ground elk. You can replace the elk with just plain ground beef. But we're gonna start this getting browned. Ooh, it does not want to come off. There we go. Okay. And for tonight's dinner, we're making spaghetti with meat sauce and homemade garlic bread. So we're going to get that started. And then the next thing we want to do is we want to get the oven temperature up to 425 degrees. Okay, so we'll get that preheated. A rack in the center. Okay. And here in a minute we'll relocate you over to where we're going to start the garlic bread. So you can see that process. This is just browning ground meat. As soon as we get the meat browned and it on a simmer, we'll go ahead and get the noodles started. I sometimes preheat the water a little bit so that we can get the boiling going as soon as the meat's browned up. But let's go ahead and get you relocated so you can watch the garlic bread. Alright, so this is the secret to a happy spaghetti meal for everyone in my family. We have some smushed hamburger buns. And they're a little bit on the old side, I'm not going to lie. But that's not going to matter, because when I'm done with them, they're going to be everybody's favorite part of the meal. And it doesn't matter what brand, hamburger bun, or like I said, they're smushed. I have some here with sesame seeds that are a little bigger. And I have to make a lot because, like I said, this is the part that makes basic spaghetti night fun. So the first thing we do is I have some room temperature butter here. We're gonna butter each piece. Alright, so every piece is buttered. Some of them, that last one's maybe not as heavy as I'd like. That's all trash. Alright, now the next thing is garlic powder. I don't like this fine garlic powder, but this is 21 ounces of garlic powder. We've had it for a while now, and I cannot get rid of it fast enough. It does not shake well, but we are just going to go ahead and put a layer of garlic powder sprinkled on top of the butter. Okay, and just make sure you cover it pretty good. Alright, we're getting there. There we go. Like I said, this is really fine. It doesn't work that well. I prefer a little more coarse garlic. And then the next thing is salt. So my salt shaker, well, it's full, but I'm just gonna sprinkle salt on each one of these. Okay. You can shake it on, or you can do what I'm doing here. Okay, and you got to get enough salt to kind of, I'd say it's probably a 2-to-1 garlic to salt. All right, now we take mozzarella cheese, grated mozzarella cheese, and we just lightly cover each piece of bread. And I've made this with sliced bread. I've made it with hamburger buns, hot dog buns. This is a way to get rid of the buns that weren't used, that are starting to get a little old and not, you know, maybe they're squished. No one cares what they look like at the end. They taste so good, they just eat them up. Okay. In the background, you might be able to hear that meat browning. We're kind of trying to do a quicker meal here. And a lot of times I would have enough time when I'm not doing a video to control everything going on here. All right, so each piece of bread, and you can use a little bit of Parmesan if you have some. I'm out at the moment, so we're just gonna go with the mozzarella, but don't be afraid to shake some Parmesan cheese on there, or freshly grated. Now it's just Italian seasoning, a blend of Italian herbs, and we're just gonna shake that on to give it a little bit of color, and right on top of the cheese. There we go. That's starting to look good. Yeah, now the dog's decided to be bad. All right. So there's our prep for our garlic bread, okay? I'm gonna get this mess cleaned up, and these can just sit out until we're ready to throw them in the oven. And just so you know, what I'm gonna end up doing is, as I'm making the noodles, I boil the noodles for 10 minutes, and when the timer hits 7 minutes, I throw the garlic bread in at 425, and they'll be done at the same time. So we'll get back resituated over at the oven, and we'll show you the next steps. So the fat content on this meat's pretty low. It's probably about a 95.5 meat to fat. I can tell because really nothing in the bottom of my pan. So while I'm trying to brown it, I'll probably add water to deglaze the bottom of the pan from time to time. All right, our water's starting to come to boil. So let's talk about prepping pasta water. So if you watch my other videos, you know I don't measure. I figure that's probably just a little under a tablespoon of salt. Okay, we're gonna add that to the water. All right, now don't be afraid of olive oil for your noodles. We're just gonna give it a good glug. That's a technical term. I don't know what that is, maybe a quarter cup. Probably close to that. All right, the meat is browning up, the water is coming to a boil. The oven is preheating, and we have our garlic bread prepped. If you want to, you can prep your garlic bread early. Browning meat's always easier when it's thawed, but I didn't lay anything out this morning before I went to work. So now I'm trying to brown frozen meat. It takes a little longer. Okay. Now this, we can talk about. Yeah, okay. So we're using an olive oil, basil, garlic. This is what they had at Costco. I'm not gonna lie. A lot of times we get a fire roasted tomato garlic one. And I'm taking a little bit out. One of my daughters is having trouble with meat currently. Some sort of digestion issue. It's not agreeing with her. So I separate out a little bit of sauce for her so she can enjoy her spaghetti with sauce. Now, we're gonna add this, which has some flavor to it, but we don't trust that to have the flavor we need. So we're back to the garlic powder here, and there's some water in the bottom of the pan because the meat didn't have. Let's get some garlic on that. And don't be afraid of your spices. This seems to be, when I talk to people, and I probably got the door in your face there, but what I notice a lot of is people are afraid of spices. And Italian spices, in particular garlic and Italian seasoning, there's nothing there to be afraid of. It all tastes really good. So we can go ahead and, cake it on there. And then we want to take a little bit of onion powder. And we're gonna put some of that in the pan too. You could use minced onion when you brown your meat, but we're talking quick and easy. I don't want to have to chop onions tonight, so. Okay, and then we just keep browning this meat. Our noodle water has come to a boil. So here is the trick. I always use a whole pack of noodles. Some people use a little less. So I shake them into my hand, grab the ends, okay, and I have them nicely stacked. All right, whole noodles, put them down in the bottom and just give your hand a twist. It fans them out, and here in just about, I don't know, 30 seconds or so, I'll be able to push them down into the water. That keeps them separated a little bit at first while they start to cook, so they don't stick together. It's a trick a neighbor of mine taught me many years ago. Okay, and our meat's browning up nice. You want to kind of cut the pieces up as small as you can get them. And that Italian seasoning and the garlic powder and the onion powder smells so good right now. We got our noodle spoon, and we're just going to push these down into the water. They're already starting to soften up enough to push down. The water's come back to a boil. Started this meal about 6 o'clock at night. Due to the filming process, we're probably going to be a little bit slower than normal getting everything done. Now we go to our timer. Whoops. That's not the timer, that was the clock. We'll set the clock for 10 minutes. My wife is helping me tonight, trying to keep my elbow out of the video. I know you guys, it's a good looking elbow, but nobody really wants to watch it for 15 minutes. And cooking is not hard. It's something with a little bit of practice I feel that anybody can master. So we are at 6 minutes, and oh yeah, these are gonna look nice. Let's get those in the center rack of the oven. In one of the future videos, I hope to take another pork shoulder and this time make Italian sausage with pork shoulder. And I'll actually wrap the Italian sausage like I did the breakfast sausage, but probably in a little bigger package, about 1.25 pounds. I find that makes a really good meat to sauce ratio. A little bit better than 1 pound. And if I can follow through with these videos and keep making them, I will show you all how to make meatballs to go with your spaghetti. I will probably edit down some of this video because watching me sit here and stir ground meat, I mean, you get the idea, right? Just keep moving it till it's brown. It looks pretty good. All right. Now we just take the sauce right over the steaming hot pan and add it straight to the meat. I forget what sauce we normally use, but we buy one at the local grocery store, and it is in an Atlas Mason jar. And I've used those jars for years for actually canning. So depending on the sauce you use, you can look at your jar, and the ones that come in Atlas jars, they will can. They're a little bit of a different size. They're not a quart and they're not a pint, but they can nicely. I've used them in the past for canning pickled eggs and things like that, which this summer I hope to do a video on that when the chickens start laying eggs again. All right. So you're watching this. As soon as that starts to boil a little bit, we're gonna dial that back to low, because we're not needing to really cook the sauce. We just want to simmer it a little bit. So we'll just keep an eye on that. And we don't want it splattering everywhere. So as soon as it starts to boil, we'll cut it back. We're under a minute on the noodles here. There we go, it's starting to boil. We're gonna turn that way down so that it doesn't splatter everywhere. And we're gonna get us a lid. I think maybe. Is that the correct lid? Yeah, first try. I might have to invite you all over closer to the sink. Watch how I take care of the noodles. In fact, why don't we go ahead and stop right here for a second, get you set up at the sink so you can see how we take care of the noodles. All right, so right here are our noodles after 10 minutes. We take them while they're still pretty boiling hot. I use a lid, and I'm just gonna dump some of the water out. I'm not gonna dump it all out. And then we're going to run this water cold. And we're basically shocking the noodles, cooling them off. So we'll get a little bit of cold water in there. And then we'll take some of that water out. And I forgot to hit stop on the oven timer. Okay, got some more water out, a little more cold water. And this won't cool your noodles off, but it will stop the cooking process. Okay, and I'm not gonna dump all the water out, just get enough out to okay, let me show you what it looks like, because this is probably not perfect. So there's still some water down there in the bottom. Is that good in frame? And we can take that, see they're still steaming, and we can just set it back on the stove, and that little bit of water will keep anything from scorching to the bottom, since that burner's still a little warm. All right, come on, move. So our garlic bread's ready. Let's go ahead and hit stop on that. Our sauce is ready. We're going to turn it off. Our noodles are ready. And it is 6:24 right now. I started this process about 6 p.m. when I got home from picking up one of the girls. in under a half hour from frozen to ready to eat. And this is the garlic bread. The cheese is melted on the top. I promise you this will be delicious. So we're gonna take this and we're gonna set it over here. And I'm gonna go feed the dogs while everybody else makes their plate, and we're gonna enjoy this hot meal after a long day of work. Thank you for watching. I hope these videos inspire you to try cooking hot home-cooked meals, even on the weekdays, even if you're busy. I mean, today I worked, I picked up one of the kids, my wife had a dentist appointment and work, and it's 6:30 and we're still gonna have a full dinner. Thanks for watching. Have a nice evening.